Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video, but we're going to talk about Patreon, we're going to talk about OnlyFans, we're going to talk about Web3 and decentralization, and how I've seen a couple articles floating around that more creators are looking at a decentralized solution for fan support. And the reason being is that you can get screwed over royally by Patreon. In fact, we did a video talking about the issue last month or the month before. I think it was the beginning of August, right? That they weren't paying people. There were paused payouts and canceled subscriptions. And this is not the first time that there have been issues with Patreon. And Patreon has been rapidly declining. You know, it's been it's just been in this state of decay. They were a darling of the pandemic. And then a lot of people are very leery about Patreon because of, screw ups like this. They were trying to pass the subscription fees on to users. They've been policing people's content all over the place, but YouTube's doing that too now. The situation with Russell Brand, where Russell Brand is having some allegations thrown at him, and it really has nothing to do with his YouTube content, but because of it, YouTube has taken his monetization away. And, we've seen this time and time again. Any kind of fan support, if you get into overly political content, or you get into dicey content, or just people don't like you for whatever reason, they can mess with your money, right? And the problem is when you have a third party like Patreon in the middle, or even, PayPal or whoever, they can mess with your money. So more and more people are looking at turning to Web3. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about decentralization. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Geeky sitting this video out again, so no woohoos today. Just sadness. No, sadness over Patreon, what it was, what it is now. I do not have a Patreon. We actually use DonorBox, which is pretty solid. You guys can check it out at thereef.support if you want to kick us a few bucks, help keep us on the air. So far, to the best of my knowledge, they have not engaged in a lot of the shenanigans that Patreon has, but they're not nearly as big as Patreon is either. But this is coming from Cointelegraph. OnlyFans and Patreon models are turning to Web3 amid payment and censorship fears. Patreon creators had difficulties getting paid in August, while OnlyFans once tried to ban porn on the platform, forcing creators to look at alternatives, including Web3 decentralization. Adult content creators, not just adult content. It's not just adult content. They're saying it's mostly adult content. It's not just adult content. I think anybody who does anything even remotely political, or if you do content that questions the narrative around certain pharmaceutical products, you are in danger of losing monetization. If there are certain candidates that you don't like, if you don't agree with certain lifestyles, whatever the deal is, like if you're a wrong thinker, it's not just, being an OnlyFans model or doing porn or whatever. If you're a wrong thinker, you're in the crosshairs for cancelization, because basically if they've decided you're a no good Nick, the ends justify the means. And if they're like, hey, they're getting a good chunk of change from this platform's revenue sharing, and this person is saying things we don't like, or engaging in behavior we don't like, or tweeting the wrong things, or following the wrong people, whatever, hey, just hit that button and zap their money away, right? But porn is also affected. OnlyFans and Patreon, after, they have had the ever-present threat of being deplatformed. And it's not just the adult performers, so we're going to call them the performers. It's not only people producing that kind of content, it's people producing drawings of adult content. It's people drawing in an anime style and having their Google Drives rated by Patreon to make sure that they didn't have any artwork that was considered too lewd, or had, characters that look like they could be underage engaging in acts too. So they get really like granular. They really do look into your life, unless of course you're on the right side of everything, according to the people working at these companies, and then they turn a blind eye to it. I'd like to know why Russell Brand has been demonetized, but I don't think Colleen Ballinger has been demonetized, has she? I don't think she's been demonetized on YouTube. And her accusations were pretty tough too. You know, she just laughed it off and played the ukulele or whatever, you know, but I don't think YouTube demonetized her. I could be wrong, but I don't think they did. So anyway, this is Leon Lee, the founder and CEO of Only One, a decentralized version of OnlyFans, tells Cointelegraph there's been a recent power shift from intermediaries to content creators thanks to Web3. In August, creators on Patreon reported having difficulties withdrawing their earnings from the platform as payments were being flagged as fraudulent by the banks. Yeah, they moved everything to, I think, Ireland because of taxes or something. I think that's what happened, but they didn't tell people they were doing that. And a lot of people lost a lot of subscriptions and they're pissed. And like I said, this isn't the first time that Patreon's pulled stuff like that. They've been late paying people before. You know, it's not a good situation. That company is going to implode here soon. Many content creators haven't forgotten what OnlyFans tried to ban when they tried to ban sex in 2021. Literally the only thing they were known for, only to reverse the decision days later. Speaking on this, Lee argues that creators will always be at risk of being deplatformed as long as they stay on centralized platforms using traditional payment rails. Only One was launched back in March 2023. The platform is just one of many startups looking to capture the magic of adult subscription platforms with a decentralized crypto twist. OnlyFans model Ali Ray created a crypto-powered adult content platform, Wetspace? Really? Wetspace? Really? She created the platform to circumvent the payment pressures that creators on platforms like OnlyFans were receiving from the banks. I started to figure out the banks really were largely in part the driving force behind some of those decisions that platforms were having to make. And so that naturally led to how you get rid of the banks, and crypto came out like a knight in shining armor. That's probably true. You know, so many people have been deplatformed by the banks, by PayPal, by their payment processors. And again, you know, once they accuse you of doing naughty things, you know, whether it's true or untrue, or supporting the wrong people, whether it's true or untrue, whatever, you know, they basically just snap their fingers and take your money away. You know, they call up the bank, they call up PayPal, whatever. Creators are waking up to the fact and are becoming less dependent on intermediaries to monetize. He acknowledged that TV producers, advertisers, and brands will maintain a market share in the creator economy, but said a true peer-to-peer payment infrastructure like blockchain is the next logical step for creators. I think that's probably true. The more people you can take out of the mix, the fewer people that have their hands on your money, the better off you are for a number of reasons. One, they're going to take a cut every time. And this is happening this is happening in crowdfunding right now too. Crowdfunding, you know, we ran into a situation, and we're not in danger of being deplatformed. I mean, we're not very political. We really aren't. And my politics are pretty mild, but we ran into a situation with Indiegogo where for whatever reason, they decided they were going to hold funds on one of our books for like over a month. And I'm like, that sucks, because then it pushed everything back, the production pipeline. It pushed everything back because I didn't have the money I had the money to pull the trigger, but I didn't want to, because I'm like, I don't know if they're going to pay me. You know, I'm going to be stuck paying for this stuff, you know, and I have no idea what is going on here. I might have to refund everybody. I don't know what's going to happen. And, you know, so they finally released the money after I sent them an email, and I was like, hey, what is up with this? Like, I've been in limbo for a month, and that makes me nervous. So I think our next book, we're probably just going to start it on our own website, on the Shop Clownfish site, and do it that way, because that removes a lot of the hands that, you know, get into fingering your money, right? Because they do. And a lot of times they'll sit on your money for a while because they get interest. They'll sit on for like a month. You know, they're spending your backers' money to pay their bills, you know, and you have to wait to get that money. And then they take a fat cut for doing nothing. I mean, they really don't do much of anything that you can't do on your own, but I digress. So here are a couple more. Proof of Peach, Sexton, and Keyhole. They're all working in the Web3 space. There's an inevitable future where there will no longer be any intermediaries between fans and creators. This is obvious but unrealized potential of blockchain technology. This actually happened before. So before Patreon was a thing, before crowdfunding was a thing, webcomics creators actually did subscription models. Podcasters did subscriptions like through PayPal and stuff. And yet you had PayPal involved, but they weren't as strict as they are now. But you didn't have that extra layer, because now it's like you've got PayPal and, Patreon or Indiegogo or Kickstarter, whoever involved in the mix. So again, the more people you have between you and your money, the more chance there is that somebody can, break that chain and you don't get paid. And so I think in the future, probably the only way to make sure that, it's not even going to be, I don't even think it's going to be people doing dicey content. I think anybody that actually wants to get paid and not have to give away a portion of their income to people that don't do anything, the best way to do that is to set up direct payment. We need more of that. We need to be more, we need to be more focused on trying to make sure that, everybody's looking at crowdfunding, especially as kind of an advertising platform. And I don't think it works that way. I mean, people get really mad when they launch a crowdfunder and nobody knows who they are and nobody backs it. And it's like, yeah, it's because you don't have the audience. They're not going to push anybody to your project, right? You're going to have to push your audience to wherever you want them to pay you, or how you want them to pay you for your services. And, it's, again, I think if you have a sizable platform, there's no reason why you need to have all these intermediaries, cutting in your money. I mean, geez, YouTube, part of the reason we don't do the YouTube subscriptions, is because they take like 40%. You do a super chat, they take like 35, 40% or something like that. Some crazy amount of money. So your fans think they're paying you directly, and, the platform's taking a huge cut. Now, the flip side of that is you have the platform because you're on the platform. But, what I'm saying? Like, and it's the same with Twitch, too, I think. It's like they take like almost half your income. It's absolutely insane. So, yeah, I think the only way that we're going to be able to fix a lot of the issues that we're seeing now with people getting deplatformed or having their monetization snapped away is to do more in this space. I just thought this was pretty interesting. I saw it on several websites that they were talking about it, that more and more creators, whether you're doing adult entertainment or comic books or whatever, it's all the same thing, right? You're creating content, and you run the risk of losing access to your funds anytime you bring somebody else into the mix. So it's food for thought. Definitely think about setting up an alternative. Do not, I'm telling you right now, do not put all your eggs into the Patreon basket. This thing is going to break very, very soon. It's not a good deal, guys. Like they for years were trying to be like, yeah, we want to centralize all creator payments on Patreon. Do not. If you don't have a Patreon now, I would tell you, find another alternative, because they've proven themselves to be untrustworthy on so many levels. Now they're trying to get you to sell digital stuff on Patreon. You can do that yourself too. You don't need them. You really don't need them. And they're not doing anything for you. You're basically pushing your audience over there and letting them monetize your audience, for themselves. And then hopefully they pay you. Hopefully they give you your money that your fans gave you at some point. I don't know. I'm going to wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later. Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.